It is a great weekend. Welcome to another edition of your lovely program, Testimony Time, on Osrc Television. Adenike Olaito is my name. Today you are going to listen to a story of a man who went through so many challenges, struggled so many difficulties, but today he is a testifier. He is already in the studio to tell you his stories in details. Please don't go away. The program resumes shortly. Apostle Adebayo Oluwaniyi was born into the family of late Dr. Oluwafemi James Oluwaniyi and Deaconess Florence Abiodun Oluwaniyi. He came into this world under the covering of parents who valued education, discipline, and the fear of God. His father, now of blessed memory, was a man of learning and vision, while his mother stood as a pillar of faith and strength within our family. His formal educational journey began at St. Raphael Nursery and Primary School, Samuel Orelope, Ibadan. Those early years were marked by innocence and hope, as he enjoyed the warmth of family and the promise of a future that seems secure. He later gained admission into Orogun Grammar School, Ibadan, where he continued his secondary education and began to understand life beyond childhood. However, the course of his life changed dramatically with the death of his father. His passing created a vacuum that word can hardly describe. Beyond emotional pain, it ushered him into a season of uncertainty, instability, and hardship. The loss of a father at a tender age reshaped his world and forced him to grow up for earlier than expected. It was during this dark season that he learned that true survivor meant. Anger became a familiar companion. He learned to eat garri mixed with raw palm oil, not as a choice, but as a necessity. Many nights, that simple meal was all he had. Yet, even in those moments of deprivation, God was quietly shaping his character. What was meant to break him became the furnace that refined him. He later attended Technical College in Ekiti and had his degree in Syndico Christ International Diversity College, an affiliate of Acadia University in Canada. Those experiences taught him humility, resilience, and a deep dependence on God. He learned early that life does not always offer comfort, but God never abandons his own. When human love failed, divine grace sustained him. When doors were closed against him, God kept his destiny open. Looking back today, Apostle Adebayo sees clearly that his early struggles were not wasted. They laid the foundation for his compassion towards the broken, his passion for ministry, and commitment to standing for those who have no voice. The boy who once survived on garri and palm oil grew into a man strengthened by faith, purpose, and the unshakable hand of God. Indeed, his journey is a testimony that God can raise a messenger from the ashes of pain, and that no childhood is too broken for divine restoration.
My name is Apostle Adebayo Samuel Oluwaniyi. I was born in Lagos State, but I hail from Ayegbaju Ekiti in Ekiti State. I grew up in Ibadan. But when I was growing up, I didn't really know my mother. I grew up with my grandma, so I was a grandma boy. And while growing up, my father was not there with me. My mother also was not there. Like I said, I didn't know my mother. So growing up was very hard, was very tough. But with the help of God, God kept the journey going and we were pushing it forward. I remember when my grandma could not take good care of me anymore, and she has to send me down to Ibadan. That was when I went to meet one of my uncle, the elder brother to my father, to stay with them. There I went through hell. It is there I know how to mix gari, which they call the cassava flakes, with palm oil, cold palm oil with salt. It looks exactly like eating beans. That was where I learned eating that, because there was no food to eat, and that was how we were growing up. And I remember sometimes the wife would say we stole meat when the husband has given her money to cook, but she would use the money for contribution, and she would say we are the one that stole the meat, and we were beaten severely. And that was how we were growing up. Then I remember that was the time this hot plate came with this spring, that spring hot plate. I remember I was short then, so there was this stool that was made for me that I have to stand on while cooking, because I have to cook, I have to do the cooking in the house. And I remember that day I was on that stool not knowing that the leg was not balanced, and from there I fell. And that time when water touches that hot plate, it shocked, so I didn't know water was in my hand, and on trying to check what I was cooking, I fell, and the water, I was cooking beans, and the water fell on my leg. Because of the panic, I couldn't tell anybody that water has poured. I have to make sure I pack the food, to make sure the food is on the fire again, not minding what was happening to my leg. It was 4 days later that my leg got swell. For like 3-4 months I couldn't walk with that leg. These are things, but glory be to God, my grandma came to check on us, and she saw, Ade, what happened to your leg? And I told her, this this thing, if I didn't take good care of it, it's going to become another thing. To the help of my grandma, we were able to, the whole thing was able to be cured and healed, because it takes another journey entirely, because I couldn't go to school, I couldn't do anything again. I was just lying down in the house, and God helped through that. And after that I was still going. Then later my father got married to another wife. That was the time I thought enjoyment started for me, because he has to pick me up and said I should come to his home with a new wife, and I enjoyed my stay there. But it was a pity I didn't enjoy that for more than just 6 months when my father died. It was so severe again. Then the pressure and the toughness again started, and I have to go through another run of suffering again. Then this happened. I was living at this local place in Akure, Enyike, very very local place, and I was paying 800 naira for house rent, but I couldn't afford to pay again. And one day the landlord threw my load outside in the rain. The mattress I was using was so wet, and thank God to somebody, Pastor Olatunde Adewale Odogun, and he came to my rescue that time. He was the one that took me in. He was just newly married. He was using a room and a parlor. He took me in and placed me in his parlor to be staying, and that was where I was staying, and that was where he started telling me about God, telling me about Christ. And the first thing he said that is, you are going to work for God. I said, me I will be collecting 20 naira. No, me that I want to become a veterinary doctor like my father. And that was how the whole journey started, and from there I was staying with him, following him to church, doing all manner of church activities. Later I became an usher in at the church. From an usher, I became an interpreter, and there I became an evangelist. And then I remember while I was staying with him, they transferred him to Obale to head the church in Obale. Then there is this particular lady there. As a young boy, loved this lady and I wanted to date her, and that's opened another chapter of my life that helped me. And the lady insulted me and said, if he's going to date anyone, not even a local person like me, that what do I have to offer? Secondary school fail. Because when I did my work, I came out with F9 9. And so said, I have nothing to offer. She just got admission into a university, and said, so there's nothing you can offer. And I remember the mother of that lady was working in Osrc here. Then the mother told me also, you cannot date my child because you have nothing to offer. And when I got home to tell my pastor's wife that was staying with as Pastor Odogun, and she told me is, who will marry you? You that you have nothing to offer, that you have no future than just stay with us here. Then I was furious, very, very furious. And I said, I have to do something with my life. Then I look at it, what can I do with my life? I've done all manner of works. This time around, I have to look for something good to do. Then there is admission going on at a technical college at Ikole, Ekiti. That was when I went to technical college, Ikole, to study mastery that the local man will call bricklayer. That's block laying and concreting. And I went to study it for 3 years. And while I was doing that also, I discovered I had this gift. I didn't learn it from anywhere. Electrical installation. I just know how to fix lights. I didn't know I got it that from. So I later discovered that I can do also. Let me have the certificate of this also. Then I worked for electrical installation also. And it was when I was there, then I got the conviction that God called me. I was passionate about this. And while I was going through my younger age, people has been calling me pastor right from my birth. Nothing like, this child is a pastor, is going to become this. But I don't believe in all those prophecies, because everything happened to my life never even brought the sign that I'm going to become a man of God. Because the hardship I went through does not even encourage me. That if God wants to call someone, won't go through this kind of pains and everything. But to the glory of God, when I got to technical school, I met friends that they were tough, were smoking all manner of drugs. But in the school, I became the president of the school. I will be the one to lead the assembly. I'll be the one to do the prayer. But that does not stop me from smoking, from taking all manner of drugs and everything. And when I pray for people, and people will say, thank God you prayed for me yesterday. When you pray for me, I receive healing. That was like, even I myself was making jest of myself. So a smoker praying for somebody, you just be deceiving yourself. But my last year in technical college was when I really met this God. I remember that day was a very, very unique day in my life. I was in my room. I was not really sleeping. I was not sleeping. I just sat down trying to revise my book when I saw this tall man. This tall man just came. The whole room became blank, white. And he was started talking to me. You must work for me. You must do this. I said, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. But this voice echoed to my head. I cannot think anything again. And that was where I passed out. And when I came back to life, then I said, okay, if that is what I'm going to do, then let me. When I woke up, I met myself at CAC Okegbala, Ayegbaju Ekiti, and where I was tutored by my father in the Lord. Is now of blessed memory, Pastor Jeremiah Ojoayolo. Baba started tutoring me, and that was where I began to discover the gift of God in my life, and that was where I started the ministry. And you know, as they will say, anyone that will go far in life will pass through tough time. When I entered the ministry again, tough time came. Challenges started coming in. There was this program God gave me to be doing. It was a weekly program, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I started at my hometown. And people were coming, the whole place have known about it, and Baba has to retire. And when he retired, the man that came, the next pastor that came, said I wanted to take over the church, because the program was not done in the church but was done on the mountain. And this is, the man said I should stop the program or bring the program down to the church, that I must bring the program to the church so that he can be the anchor of the program. I said, no, I was the one that God gave the vision, not you. And he said, no. So he brought a lot of challenges. The mountain we were using, I don't know how to, this palm front, let me say palm front, he went to mount it on the mountain so that nobody can go through the place. I said, a pastor? And people came to tell me, because I've not gotten to the mountain, they begin to tell me. And before then, God has revealed to me that someone is going to give you difficult time, but I should not retaliate. That should just take it that way. And that was where, when I got to the mountain, I saw that they've put the palm front, and I cannot break through it. Then I have to go home. I said, let's go and use my father's house. My father's house has a compound, so let's go and use my father's house. And to the glory of God, that was where we started, and that was where God gave me the name of my ministry, even when I have not planned of becoming a founder. Before then, God has given me the name. That was 2009. God gave me the name God's End Time Evangelical Army Ministry. Get him. And it was confirmed by my father in the Lord before he died. And I was like, what was the meaning of this name? Get him. So I never paid attention to it. I just wrote it down because I'm a person that keeps record. So I just wrote all those things down, and how God told me how the whole ministry is going to be. I just jotted it down, put it in record. But I didn't go through it. I just kept it somewhere. Then in 2017, when the ministry was about to start, September 15, 2017, and God told me, go and hold a program, because in this town, if you do not leave this town on 19 of this month, you will become a dead man. I was like, my father's town? Who has that head that will come and chase me out of my father's town? No, it's not possible. So I wasn't taking it serious, but God told me, go and hold a program, 24 hours with God. Then I invited so many ministers of God, and those ministers of God I told at that moment, nobody collected a damn from me. They supported me with everything that I needed. And that day God spoke excessively about my hometown and my homeland and what is going to happen. And he told me to leave that town on 19. And when it got to on 18, I didn't have any dime. Where will I go to? Then I started praying, God, where should I go to? Where? Should I go to Akure? Then a brother of mine came. He's a pastor at Abuja then. Then he came in and said, follow me to Abuja. Go and be assisting me as a pastor. Then I look at this and now great opportunity. Then the other one came also from Lagos and said, follow me to Lagos. I was like, why is it that the two of you are coming at a time? Where do I really need to go? So I was confused. Then I went to pray. And while I was praying, I saw myself walking in that dream, in that vision God showed me. I saw myself walking, giving block, like I was molding a house. They were giving me a lot of blocks, but that as I was walking, laying the blocks, the building was not going up. The building remained stagnant. And I told God, what's the meaning? I started meeting different men of God. They were giving me all manner of different visions, and my spirit was troubled. Then I met a man, Baba Kuru Yejo, and he told me, he said, this was the man that I use. He doesn't speak, he doesn't talk to people and say this is the vision. We just tell you, what do you want to talk about? And he will hold his Bible, he read the Bible will roll. And he said, Abuja, if it is Abuja, the Bible should roll to the left. The Bible refused to roll. If it is Lagos, the Bible should roll. The Bible did not roll. Then he said, which other place do you want? I said, Akure. No, I did not even say Akure. I said, I don't even know. Then the Baba said, Akure enko. And I said, I've been in Akure. I grew up in Akure also. I went to secondary school in Akure. I've done a lot of dirty jobs in Akure. So, just try Akure. And when he said Akure, the Bible started rolling. He said, that is where you are going. That was around October 2017, and that was where the program started, and that was where the church started in Akure. And that was how I started with him, only a member, and then we started praying. That was how I brought the program I was doing in Ekiti down to Akure, the Monday program. And when we started, I remember that day was Wednesday when we started, and everybody in the house were like, Pastor, you are a wicked person, no? So you can pray this kind of prayers, and you have been with us in this house, and you are not telling us. I said, but you heard me praying. When you heard me praying, you too, you can join now. By the time it was Friday that I told them we are going to have another program, the whole room was filled up. We were about 14 then. A room cannot contain us again. Then we moved to the backyard, and from the backyard of the house we moved to the frontage and to where God planted us today. And that was where I met a man, I will not mention his name. He's a very popular man in Ondo State here, and that was the first man I gave prophecy in Ondo State in the year 2017. He was looking for PS, and he has been looking for that PS, permanent secretary, for about 15 years, and he didn't get it. But God told me to speak to him and tell him that before the end of that month, November 2017, that they are going to appoint him. And in Ondo State, he was the only one that was not interviewed, and he was called upon. And that was a lamplight of my life, of my history. And that was how the Church of God, I won't say my church, the Church of God came to lamplight. My advice to them is rely on God in everything in life. Without God, without Christ, you are in crisis. So it is only Christ that can give you the total freedom. No matter the obstacle, no matter the challenges you are going through, when you have Christ in your life, you have all. He's going to settle it. No, there is no greater challenge greater than that of Christ. So when you have Christ in your life, everything is settled.
That was a very great and inspiring testimony, which I believe you've learned one or two things from his testimony. Why can't you join us again next week, same time, same station, for another inspiring testimony. Bye for now.